one of the biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to SEO is that they don't quite understand what SEO encompasses and everything that is included within SEO. And so in this video, I'm going to show you and talk about the 7 most important factors when it comes to SEO. For those who don't know me, let me just quickly introduce myself. My name is Laura. I am the owner of Mike and Laura Travel, and I'm also the CEO of Scale Your Travel Blog to 6 Figures, which is a program that helps other travel bloggers grow their travel blogs and make money from it, and so that they can do it long term. Now, just to preface, Google actually has over 200 ranking factors, and like I said, most people just kind of know the one, which is on-page SEO. They think that if they write their blog posts in a specific way, then Google's just going to like them and give them traffic. Unfortunately, that's just not true. There are so many more components to SEO that people forget about, and I want to go over those right now. And I'm going to share with you some SEO tricks so that you can use those same things to grow your website as well. Now, as I mentioned, there are so many ranking factors when it comes to Google. Of course, there are over 200 ranking factors. And I'm just going to talk about the 7 that I think are the most important when it comes to ranking your blog on Google. When we rank our blogs on Google, we get Google to send us traffic, which is, again, exactly what we want. So what are the important factors when it comes to SEO? Let's start with the one that everyone knows, which is on-page SEO. If you write your blog posts in a specific way, Google will see that you're doing that, and they're going to reward you. It might not be right away, but long term, they will reward you. Why? Because they know that if you are very specific about what you write about, then you're going to be able to deliver really great content to your readers. So the first is on-page SEO. How you write your blog posts. It is important. The next thing that Google looks at, and it's one of the most important things when it comes to growing any type of website, are backlinks. So what are backlinks? Backlinks are when another website links back to your website. It shows Google, hey, those people, they trust me, and so you should trust me more as well. Okay, that is what backlinks are. And again, it's just to prove to Google, hey, I have authority in this topic. Clearly I do, because these other people are linking to me about it. And so you should trust me more too, because these people do. Does that make sense? So we do a lot of backlinks. There are several different ways that we do backlinks, and we will go into that in these training sessions. However, just as a brief overview, some easy ways to get backlinks would be to outreach to other websites and say, hey, can you link to this post? Of course, strategically. Nobody's just going to say, hey, sure, that sounds like a great idea. But strategically, if you can get them to link back to your posts, you're going to show Google you have more authority, and it's going to be a lot easier for you to rank on Google. The next couple of ranking factors when it comes to Google are going to be a little bit less well-known, essentially. So, of course, lots of people know about on-page SEO, lots of people know about backlinks, but what are the other factors when it comes to growing your website? There's got to be more. It can't just be on-page and backlinks, right? Right. So the next thing is you want to make sure that your site is fast. If it's not a fast-loading website, Google is going to pay attention to that. Why? Because they want their readers, whoever's using Google, to feel that they are getting the best experience. Okay, so we need our websites to load quickly. Otherwise, statistics show people will leave. Now, one of the easiest ways to determine your site speed is just go to Google and type in Google site speed, and it's going to come up with a site speed tool by Google. Use the Google one because we always trust Google over any other company, whether it's Moz, whether it's, there are so many different tools that you can use, but we want to trust the main website that we're trying to please. Why would we pay attention to what Moz says, or why would we pay attention to another maybe site speed tool when really it all comes back to Google? So let's go to Google. Let's use Google's tool. Check your site speed. And when you check your site speed, it's going to show you some numbers. Of course, we want our numbers to be as high as possible. Unfortunately, it's not always that easy, and most of the time our blog is not going to be super, super fast. But if it's over the number 60, I tend to say you're in the clear. If you're under 60, then you might want to speed up your website, because believe it or not, it matters. And it matters in a lot of the blogging groups that we are part of, especially the blogging groups that include some of the bloggers that have been around a long time and see a lot of success from their website. Okay, so site speed, it is important. I will dive into site speed further in another lesson, but for now, just know that site speed is important. Speed up your site. If it's slow, that might be the reason why you're not getting a lot of traffic. The next thing I want to talk about is something they call EAT. It's E-A-T. It's an acronym, and it stands for expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness. Okay? And what that means is that you show Google, hey, I'm the expert in this topic, so you should trust me more. Why does that matter? Back in 2018, believe it or not, Google had what they call an algorithm update. Every platform has algorithm updates. They need an algorithm to make things run smoothly. However, in 2018, they decided that we're done with all of the people that are spouting off crap information but don't have the right expertise in order to be spouting it off. So for example, a lot of people who talked about health and wellness, their blogs went from soaring, doing really well, to overnight dropping down to nothing. Why? Because maybe they weren't a doctor. Maybe they weren't a staff of WHO. Maybe they weren't part of the CDC, right? And so Google takes into account your expertise, your authoritativeness, and your trustworthiness. All right. So if you have expertise, especially in things that really matter when there's false information flying around, then you need to broadcast that. If you're going to write about health problems, then you need to have a doctorate. Okay. If you are going to talk about the law and legal issues, you need to be a lawyer. If you're going to talk about taxes, you need to be a CPA. We can't just make stuff up, and maybe you're not making stuff up. But regardless, Google will not take you seriously unless you have the expertise to prove it. Right? So that's the next thing that Google really pays attention to. The next thing I want to talk about is keyword research. Sure, we know on-page SEO is important. Use your keywords strategically throughout your post, but did you know that it's important to find the right topics for your audience? So what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is, number one, you want to find a topic that people are actually looking for. If they are not looking for a topic, you don't have an audience. We need an audience in order to grow our website. So we need to make sure that what we're writing about has some search volume. And there are plenty of tools to do that. One of the free tools is Ubersuggest. There are several other free tools. I think, searchvolume.io. That's another one. Answerthepublic.com. These are all resources that you can use to help you find keywords that have people looking for them and have low competition, not low traffic. Low competition. We need the low competition because, again, especially if you're just starting out, you want to target keywords that you can rank for and get traffic from right away. There's no reason why we would go after a post or a keyword topic that is very difficult to rank for. It won't work for us. So we need to make sure we are targeting keywords that have low competition, high traffic. All right. Okay. The next thing I want to talk about is your site structure. Believe it or not, the way your site is set up is important. And that's there's a reason why they call it on-page SEO. Because that means there's got to be off-page SEO, right? So think about that. There is off-page SEO. So what does that mean? Well, Google, remember, really cares about the user experience. The experience your user has when they are on your website. Now, if someone goes to your website and your site is set up and it's very hard to find things, it's hard to navigate, they have to scroll through multiple pages to find what they're looking for, that matters. It matters if people can find what they're looking for with ease, okay? So the way your site is set up is important, believe it or not. Okay, now just a few tips here because I know that there is a lot of false information flying out there around pillar posts or pillar content. But basically what pillar content are the different categories within your travel blog niche. Okay, and within those categories, within those pillar posts, you want to have all of your content laid out there in a list type form so that people can find what they're looking for right away. I know that there's other travel bloggers out there who teach pillar content in a different way. They say, hey, actually, we should write this epic post and have all this content. It should be like a major travel guide about a specific destination. No, we need to think about navigation. We need to think about user intent. If I was looking for something and I went to a blog post and I had to read through a 7,000 word post to find the blog post that I'm looking for, I'm not reading it. I'm just going to go to Google and type in what I'm looking for. Okay? So it's incredibly important to know that your pillar content should not be created in this epic post type of way. Your pillar content should actually be navigational. Is it easy for people to find what they're looking for? Can they find it quickly? If not, it needs to be changed and so that it's much easier, again, for them to find what they're looking for. And then finally, I do want to mention this. Most times it's okay, but sometimes people use themes without really knowing that this is important. But if you really think about it, it's one of the most important factors for your blog, which is mobile friendliness. Is your blog mobile friendly? If it is not mobile friendly, that's an issue because I think it's something like 75 or 80% of people these days are on the internet searching for something on their telephones. If your site isn't set up for telephone use, for people to go through things naturally on their mobile device, then it's not looking good for your website. It is incredibly important to Google that your site is mobile friendly so that, again, people do not have issues using your site. User experience is number one. All right. So remember that there are 7 things that I just went over: site speed, keyword research, on-page SEO, backlinks, EAT, site structure, and mobile friendliness. Those are the 7, at least in my opinion, most important ranking factors on Google, and I would really highly recommend really diving into those topics a bit more, making sure that your site is set up completely for all these things, and you should see some results with SEO. Now, of course, it's going to be dependent on the content you post as well and the keywords you find, but if you can keep these things in mind, then you are on the right track. Next week, I am actually going to dive into site speed, so be sure to check our channel and I will make sure to link to that video in the description below. You can go check it out. But from here, again, I will continue to create videos for you based on my experience as a travel blogger and based on what we see with our students. We've had over 250 people go through our course, which is Scale Your Travel Blog, and the success we see with our students is phenomenal, and it's mostly based around the right SEO strategies. I hope this was helpful. If you did find it helpful, be sure to subscribe to our channel. I think it's actually below. I'm pointing up here as if it's up here. I think it's below, but let me know if you have questions. Leave them in the comments, and we will see you next week. See you later.